Thank you for coming over to this sunny terrace. Though it has been said that I'm going to talk, but I think it would be. I always like to converse because I think through conversation is what which is not happening in our society. We either lecture or we give speeches, dil ki baat, man ki baat. So it's important for me that whenever I stand here in front of you, all of you, and there are people, very senior journalists, cinema critic from Shoaibal Banerjee to Chatterjee to young students, acting lover, cinema lover here. Yeni, member of parliament from Tibet, Tibetan government in exile, and filmmakers, so I have no idea whatsoever what am I supposed to sort of talk about unless I know. I can talk about quantum mechanics also, but as I said that, what would be the best way to start this conversation, which ideally I would like it to revolve around art, cinema, acting, and its relationship with life, which had been my subject since a long time. So, if any of you take the opportunity and or take the first step towards asking me something, I think from there, yeah, the man raised his with wonderful sunglass. Yeah.
What was the spark? What was the first spark that was in you? Or what made you choose acting as a lifelong career path?
Okay. So he asked me what was the first spark. Would so also the kind of questions that would be interesting to for other people as well. So is that the question you think I can start with? Anybody? Is that okay? Or you have some other questions that I can also? I'll definitely come to that question, but uh, anybody else? So I can combine few. Yes, please. Sorry, sir. Yeah, no, that gentleman there. Yes, please.
I watched from Ishqiya movie. So
Okay.
the moment I saw you on the first time on the screen,
Yes.
I was awestruck by your acting. So I'm just curious. So how did you start your journey in acting? And the question is similar.
Okay. Okay.
How did you start?
Similar question that how I started my journey. He saw my first film, Ishkia, and so he was happy to see me. That's what he says, and very flattering words, which I am embarrassed to talk about it. Anybody else? Yes, please. Sorry. After that.
So, sir, we are heading towards the form of acting where it is more real, it is more realistic, with coming of age cinema like movies like Andhadhun. So, sir, how does an actor in this time sharpen himself accordingly?
Okay. So you think Andhadhun had very realistic acting? No, I'm just asking you again. Okay. Okay. Um, yes, please. He's a filmmaker himself. He made a wonderful film called Love, Loev, not Love, and he has a question.
Sorry, this is a bit craft related. As a director, I feel like we work with actors a lot, and I'm always interested in how do I get them create an environment where they can perform the best, and sometimes that means pushing them past their comfort level. And so, from an actor's perspective, I wanted to know, how do you protect yourself? How do you make sure it's a safe space? You're not being taken advantage of. How do you know? How do you say no? And what are some things that you wished filmmakers would be aware of?
Okay, that would be enough questions to start with. And so, starting from the first question, Spark, I first saw two Bengali stand-up comedian when I was a kid in early 1970s, late 60s. I was, I guess, 7 years old, and they were doing stand-up comedy in front of our house. There's a big field, and every in every Baisakhi. We call it Bihu in Assam, and they used to come and perform and used to imitate all these Bollywood stars. And so I used to come back watching them, and I would do it for my neighborhood friends and impress them. So I started with Bachchan Sahab, and you know, and and quite a lot of other Bollywood actors. So, and then I did my first well-made play, as they say. There's a beginning and there's a middle and there's an end, called Capmaker and the Sailor, when I was 8 years old, for my kindergarten. And when I finished the play, much later, when I looked back at the memory, that what was it that struck me the most? And the first question I asked my director, Binapani Horma, as in Assamese they will say, and first thing I asked her that, was it half an hour already? It felt like 5 minutes to me. Um, because it felt like the time stood still, and half an hour became 5 minutes, and that was very magical for me. Like, how is it possible that I did not feel the time passing? And since then, I kept doing plays every year, answering your question, sir. Every year, school plays. And then we had a local dramatist in our town, thankfully. Our town where I was born, called Gwalpara, which is one of the most neglected district headquarter in the country, but very beautiful, thankfully, because industry did not, had the opportunity to. And so we used to bug him to write plays for us since I was in the fifth standard till I left hometown for Guwahati city. And and then at the age of 12, I guess, I remember telling a friend whose name was Raju, who was my neighborhood friend, I said, "Yaar, actor banna hai yaar, acting karenge." So that was like, before that, I wanted to be a pilot, because I guess inwardly we all want to fly, like somehow or the other we'd like to fly in our own way. And so that's the time I decided to be an actor, and everybody laughed and like, ha ha ha. My father was the first one to laugh at me. बोलो वो तो बड़े लोग का जी बॉम्बे वॉम्बे आपसे कुछ नहीं होने वाला है and blah blah blah. But so I am standing in front of you right now, and you all call me an actor. I call myself, I love acting. So I just, there's a very lovely incident. I forgot who told who, Byron and Shelley. They were talking to each other. And I guess Shelley or Byron, one of them was junior, who started their career or their pursuit to write poetry much later. So one of them asked the other, "So what are you doing here?" And one of them said, "I want to be a poet." Then the other one said, "Oh, you don't want to write poetry, you want to be a poet, eh?" So, other people can call you poet, but I think that if I say I'm an actor, that's a bit too arrogant. And I love acting, and I practice the craft of acting. And people may call me an actor or a stupid guy who tries to, act or pretend to act. So coming to your question was about, So I haven't seen Andhadhun, so I don't know how realistic that is. I think art for me there is an evolutionary process in the art. Like if you look at the cave paintings and then you go to Egyptian painting, they could not paint something which is from the front, 3D. They used to always paint sideways. You will see Egyptian figures, they're always like this. And then slowly during the Renaissance period, they started painting, 3D figures, and they figured it out. How is it possible for a human being to paint something which can be lifelike? And then after the Renaissance, then the modernism, postmodernism, impressionism, surrealism, and cubism by Picasso, and it went into a different height altogether. But in acting, we haven't gone, especially in film acting. Film acting used to be very larger than life. देख लिया, Shahi, नमक के कब्र में दफना दो, kind of a Prithviraj Kapoor acting. And then Then also, earlier those days, I remember watching Pramatish Barua's Devdas and Kaha ja rahe ho beta. So that kind of a nasal quality, and then Shambhu Mitro in Bengali, Ami jani tumar sange amar, blah, blah, and all that, like Jatra kind of acting. And then we slowly came to this modern age where still Jatra, but a little sort of less out larger than life. अगर किसी ने हिलने की कोशिश की तो भून के रख दूंगा kind of that's very much Jatra, but he is such a good actor, Bachchan Sahab, that he makes it believable. Oh, kis haram zada nahi यहाँ आने के, but nobody talks like that in life. So but we believed, and we saw Rajkumar, जानी तुम जानते नहीं किस खेत के मूली है. You know what I mean? So nobody talks like that, but we accepted it, and we thought that was acting. I grew up watching that, Shatrughan Sinha and Dharmendra, chun ke marunga. I mean, nobody talks like that. We saw them and we started talking like that. We started imitating film in life, film actors. So we started using their vocabulary, their, what do you call that, their jargons and their ideas, philosophy. So Bollywood has immense impact on us. And that's why I think it is so important to be responsible what we produce and what we allow people to consume. And most of it is junk food. So you have to be careful when you consume junk food. I don't want to name the companies, either junk food or Bollywood junk, but you know what I'm talking about. So it is important what kind of junk which come out in the name of cinema and what we consume, and we shape our personality, our ideas of life, our worldview is constantly shaped by those films. And cinema being such a powerful medium because we watch it on the big screen. Nowadays it has come to mobile phones like this, but it's very intimate viewing, and if it is well made, not necessarily from well intention, but if it is a well made, like most of the OTT platforms, I see 90% of the content is about the lower depths of humanity. There are very few films which will uplift you, which will give you a larger or reflect, which will help you to reflect upon yourself, about your life, about your relationship with the other, about the society. Very few, which makes you feel lighter. So I think I'm coming back to your question. So from that, slowly we have come to very realistic acting, which started in 1900, early 1900, by this man called Stanislavski, Konstantin Stanislavski, who is the father of modern acting. And then from Stanislavski, Mr. Lee Strasberg took it to America, which sort of, he tried to change it, shape it according to the requirements of Hollywood cinema. And then some perverted version came to India. And we started calling it a method acting. So we learned, some of us are trained, people, those who have gone to National School of Drama or FTI. Our pioneers are Om Puri and Nasiruddin Shah, Anupam Kher and Pankaj Kapoor. So they were the kind of the pioneers of the trained actors in India. And then seeing them, like Nasiruddin Shah, Om Puri, when we saw them in parallel cinema movement in 70s, late 70s, early 80s. So this is, when I saw Ardha Satya, I don't know how many of you seen that. I was like, oh my God, this is very real. And but I'll just go back to 1983 as well, when I first saw my first Western, maybe Hollywood film. It's called Papillon or Papillon, which means in French butterfly. And the film was screened in Assam, and I saw it for the first time. The actors were Dustin Hoffman and Steve McQueen, and I thought they are not actors. I thought they are real people, because till then I've only seen Bachchan Sahab and Dharmendra ji and all those people. So I thought that these people are real people picked up from the street and had been made them, directors have made them to act. But then no Google Baba and all those things, we didn't have them. And then I found somebody who said, no, these are actors. If you see the other film, and somebody collected that film, some cine club, and then I saw them acting in Kramer versus Kramer, and then Rainmaker and all that, then realized that, oh my God, these These are the actors that I would like to sort of make my role model, because that fascinated me more than the larger than life actors. I'm not saying that's bad or good. It's just that my very personal call that this is the kind of acting that where later, much later, but I'm just going flash forward a little bit. When I went to study acting in England, and they said that there are three kinds of actors in the world: personality actors, character actors, and demonstrative actors. Personality actors are those who change the character's character in to suit their personality. 99.9% of the actors in the world are like that. And character actors are those, but in India we call character actors, like Adil Hussain is a character actor because he's not the hero. He plays another important role and not called the side guy. They are the character actors. But it's nothing to do with that at all. So character actors are those who change their personality according to the requirement of the character. And that fascinated me more because I realized that, oh my God, I can play this and that. And it's not about putting on mustache or losing weight or gaining weight. That's very cosmetic change, characterization. That's not a big deal if someone want to put on some weight, and but the software change, not the hardware change, the updating of the software according to the requirement of the character is a very, very difficult craft. And unless one has learnt it, dedicated one's life into it, and have genuine interest about the other people. And it's not about, there is a terminology called observation in Stanislavskian term, but I don't like that word because when you observe somebody else to become that person like that, it's sort of, you are objectively looking at it. But the Indian understanding of acting, they say Tandra Chan, means you empathize with the person so deeply that you embody the other and you start looking at the world from the point of view of the other. So there is a person I wish that we had introduced to the entire new generation of actors, directors in India, to this man who passed away, I think a decade ago. His name was Amanur Chakyar. He was the Kathakali Kudiyattam master. It is said, I worked with his Sishwa, Venugopalan Nair. So he told me that he was so empathetic that if he goes to see a person who is unwell, he would get the disease, that he will fall ill. To that point, he used to empathize with the other person. So, which is the most fundamental quality to be an actor, or maybe any art form. So, realistic acting slowly came in from the West, and some people have been more sensitive towards it to see life, and they started sort of imitating to some extent, very, very genuinely. And we see that realistic acting. But there is one difference between realistic acting is a very, very tricky subject for the simple reason that for me, it cannot be art, or especially in cinema, it cannot be a replication of life, because it cannot be, for the simple reason that the duration that we have in order to tell a story is not more than 3 hours. That is maximum. So mostly it's 1.5 hours, short film from 10 minutes to whatever the duration is, and mostly it's 1.5 hours internationally known, right? So in 1.5 hours, I'm telling a story of 80 years, I'm telling a story of 20 days, even telling a story of 3 hours into one. There are 2 or 3 films that I saw which is real time. Like, it's a film called Victoria, and I saw another film made by a Bangladeshi director called One Saturday Afternoon. So depicting life in cinema, the art is, for me, that one metaphor works for me a lot, which is like, when you look at this tree, it is a beautiful tree given by nature, blah, 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 all that is there. And the difference between this real tree and the artistic version of the tree would be a bonsai of this tree, which is created by a human being, which is concised, which is condensed, which is heightened, which is absolutely concentrated. So life, when it is sort of represented in cinema, it's the bonsai of the real life. So it cannot be real, it is always heightened. So realistic acting for me is like, for example, the kind of realistic acting we see in today's by the new filmmakers. Not all of them, but they make. I think there is another step to be taken. Like for example, "Eh, kya le tera, theek hai, acha, bahut badhiya hua." This kind of realistic acting is okay, but it has to be way more than that. It has to bring in the depth and the concentratedness of the bonsai, where I can, if I look at a character, I must see through that character to his birth, to her birth, and where the character would go in future. So the entire spectrum of his would-be life and the past life should come in. In order to do that, it's a lot of hard work. Like when I see, say, this amazing actor who played Gandhi, Ben Kingsley, or Anthony Hopkins, if one of them is on the screen and there is another good actor also is on the screen, my eyes, I don't know about you, but my eyes, unless women are looking at Brad Pitt or something, he's a. But my eyes keep going to Anthony Hopkins or Ben Kingsley, because of their stability, their stillness, their quietude, which sort of attracts completely every possible inch of or iota of attention towards him. And then through that person, he becomes so transparent that I see through that person what is going on inside him. And art is one of the definitions that I believe of art is that I must be able to see the inner mechanics of life when I look at a character. It's not the veneer, it's the inner mechanism that I am being exposed to. So transparency is another important quality of an actor. Transparency, and the first one I said is empathy. Coming back to your question, Sudhanshu, am I SADU? Sudhanshu, okay. So he asked me about a question that how is it possible for a director, or what could be. There are so many different kinds of actors that you would encounter while making a film. And there's so many kinds of directors that actors would. I think the first thing is that to break the boundary that you are in a superior place. That's the first thing. Because I have seen that being born in India, we inherited a lot of feudalism without wanting to. So there is the idea of the director as superior, and I have met a lot of it. So the first thing, to make a deep connection and empathetic, a deep empathy for the other, and equal respect for each and every, not only towards the actors, but all the members of the film, of the crew. And then when you make sure, there's a wonderful example of confidence that I read in 1996 by a shaman called Carlos Castaneda, and his guru Don Juan tells him that you are confident when you can make the person who is standing in front of you, who is in every possible way lower than you, age, height, class, intellect, wisdom, or whatever I call it, gender-wise, because we are males in India and then generally we look down at women. So in every possible way, the person is lower than you, and if you can make that person feel confident in front of you, then you are confident. Otherwise, you are a tyrant. You are a petty tyrant. So I think that the director plays the most important role in a film. Actors are vehicles. Director is also a vehicle, ideally. There was a very wonderful question Peter Brook was asked by my own teacher, acting teacher. He asked that, you direct actors, who directs you? So Peter Brook said to him that I get directions from the actors. Because when you hire an actor, you are not hiring an actor, you are hiring a human being who comes with this amazing experiences. Or maybe he or she is not trained enough to be vulnerable, to be defenseless, to be transparent. It's very difficult. It's a difficult job. It's like almost you're you are ripping off your shield of defense and you're allowing someone to look through into your heart, into your mind. It needs a lot of courage to do that. So that respect, to create that bond that I'm with you, I don't know what I'm doing, and let's do it together. So I've seen that with Ang Lee. When I worked with him in Life of Pi, the first thing he does that, I mean, it's organic. There is no planning there. So the organicity, if I practice in life, that will spill over in my work. Always, you cannot hide yourself in your art. You come through. People see through the art. Who are you? So what he did was very beautiful. So I went to meet him after he selected me to play Pai's father. We were sitting together, and he was just maybe a lot of people cannot see if I sit down, so I will pretend that I'm sitting down. And he has this amazing, this smiling Buddha face, He's like this, and he's looking at me. And I was looking at him, nobody was talking, so I felt a bit uncomfortable. So I asked the first question. I said, "Why are you making this film?" That's my first question. And then he took around 5 to 10 seconds to reply. And he replied for next 15 minutes, genuinely, with utmost honesty and sincerity. And I understood what he meant. Then after this, then he asked me about my acting theory background. Then I told him about my work, about who I have worked with, who influenced me in terms of acting theory, Jerzy Grotowski, Stanislavski, and my other acting teachers. And then he held my face, and he was looking for some light. He's short, so he was trying to find some light to look into my eyes, And then he looked into my eyes like that, and he says, "Okay, I'll see you soon." So that was, and it was such an affectionate touch on my cheek. And person like him, he's Ang Lee. Then he has, gotten his Oscars, and nobody has to, he doesn't have to behave humble. He could be extremely arrogant, still I will work with him. But he is not. And that's why he makes great movies also. That humility is a technique. I would not even say a virtue. Because once you are humble, you become so open to the informations, the wisdom, the knowledge which pours into you when you are in a place of genuinely, truthfully saying, "I don't know." And then only there is a possibility of knowing more. As soon as you say, "I know," you are done. I am done. There's no new knowledge which is going to come to me. So the creation of that bonding and genuinely I think for me, is the crux of the matter. And then the actors are with you because they feel that they're going to co-create with you. So when I was asked, how did you like working with Ang Lee, I said, he felt like a co-musician in an orchestra who is pretending to be the conductor of the orchestra and and conducting the orchestra. He's my co-musician. Constantly I felt that he's my co-actor, he's my co-creator, and he was genuinely so. So I hope that I think this is the fundamental, and if a director cracks that, and the rest becomes very easy. Of course, like I worked with one of my most favorite directors. He's most probably sitting here. I don't know. Subhashish, are you here? Yeah, he's here. He was 24 years old when he directed me. He directed and wrote Mukti Bhavan. Can you stand up? Show your face. This is the man. And I dare say that out of all the films that I have done, Mukti Bhavan is one of my 3 most favorite films. And so we met, and I know how difficult it is when I was 24, but he grew up in a much more privileged position. Sorry, you were in Bombay. I grew up in a town where newspaper used to come 3 days after it was published, so it's very different. But at the same time, I know that how difficult it is to break through an actor who is a bit established to talk. So my job was to do exactly that, that how can I just make him feel absolutely, put him in a position of authority and he can tell me, shut up, Adil. You don't know anything, just sit down. But I don't know whether I managed to do that or not. But I hope towards the middle of the shoot, he felt comfortable to work with me. But it has to happen genuinely. You cannot just suddenly become a humble person. You cannot. You have to practice it. You have to practice it because arrogance is such a thing. According to the great mystics of India, it's said that arrogance is such a thing that is like cancer. You don't even know you have it. So it is a constant vigilance that one has to be aware of. That yes, I am a bastard. I'm an arrogant bastard. I have to work on it, and don't judge it also at the same time. Yeah. Thank you. I hope I have answered that question a little bit. Any other question you have? Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Huh?
Actually, you said there are three types of actors. So I just wanted to talk about the second type, character actors, as it's one of the most essential part of the perform any character. It's a characterization. So I just wanted to know curiously about, so how do you prepare yourself perform any kind of character, like steps in the characterization? And the second question is, it's about on-spot improvisation. So I just want to know about more of these things. No, actually, I'm a theater director. I do theater. So I just know more about characterization.
Right. It has been changing over the years, and I was a fanatic method actor, and to the point that I started hating myself. And I thought that I'm deteriorating as a human being in order to become a better actor, which was that particular thought drove me nuts, and I chased down, sort of chased down an answer or a clarity on that aspect. After 6 years, I found someone who sort of gave me another way to look at how to go about being truthful into playing a role. I don't like the word character. It's a Western contribution to Indian actors community. Character for me is it diminishes the possibility of being a person. So, is a better word in English would be role, that you play a role. And in ancient Indian literature, dramatic literature, they used to use the word, two words, one for male, one for female, called patra ya patri. So patra literally means vessel, and actors must fit into the vessel. And the best element in nature which fits into a vessel properly is water. And water has three very important qualities: transparency, if it is not from the gutter of Delhi or Yamuna, uh, fluidity, and the ability to quench your thirst. These are the most important elements of water. And an actor, now the definition of actor for me, also the word actor is again, doesn't really fit in properly. I prefer abhineta. Actor, but still if I use the English word actor, then it means the one who does an action. So the actor, the doer of the action is called an actor. Nothing more than that. Not that actor, you know, and all that. Not that actor I'm talking about. So doer of an action is an actor, and that action can be performed in everyday life, like right now I'm performing, but this is a bit sort of set up. But I'm just going about in my, in my life and drinking a cup of tea or talking or thinking is very subtle action. So all those are actions: thinking, speaking, and physical action like walking, doing, caressing, punching, whatever you call it, or walking from one place to the other place, called physical action. Anyways, so character, it diminishes the person. So I prefer, now when an actor has to fit into the patra, now how do we as a human being, as actors, acquire these amazing three qualities: transparency, fluidity, and to be able to quench somebody's thirst of the soul, you know. So transparency for me is that one has to be so open that you should be able to see through me, unless I want to hide it, and that has to be a deliberate act. Okay, I'm just not going into details, but we can talk later because we only have like 1.5 hours or 2 hours. And fluidity is, for me, the one metaphor or one example which comes very easily is that to be able to play Hitler and Jesus Christ at the drop of a hat. The only trouble is that if I am a Hitler in everyday life, I'll not be able to play His Holiness. Because to play His Holiness, I have to be as big as him, if at all I can. But if I have to play Hitler, I have to be as big as His Holiness. Because then only I'll be able to embrace him with all his follies and all his evil actions without judging for a single second. So it is the journey of an actor to from a smallness of mind, thoughts, ideas, ideologies, emotional reactiveness. So you have to transform yourself from emotionally reactive to emotionally responsive. So response and reactions are two different things completely. If you pull the thread of reaction, you become a reactionary. But if you pull the thread of response, you become able to respond. So responsibility, somebody had made that up. Where I love it. I love it. So the ability to respond is responsibility. So you become a responsible person, not responsible like, I'm responsible for this. Not that. So you are able to respond. And respond has three important qualities, which is reflection, introspection, and wisdom in it. And actors who has to fit into the patra cannot be reactive unless you want to be reactive deliberately. But you have to come from a larger place, larger space within, in order to be responsive. Otherwise, you will always be a reactive actor. Even in schools, drama schools, they teach you action reaction. That's to start with. But finally, if you want to grow as an actor and to touch deeper depths, then one has to practice to becoming a responsive actor and not a reactive actor. Having said that, and of course, quenching thirst, how do you do that? So if I have to quench the thirst of our 10-year-old son, that he asks me a question that, Papa, you are very judgmental. Why are you saying that why are you asking me to be not judgmental? Then what do I say? I can't say anything. I'm sorry. I was lying. I have no authority to say, So, if I am in a larger space within, if I have been able to vanquish the idea of right and wrong and correct and incorrect and good and bad and all sorts of judgments that we all every day we face and we think, and to rise above that, which is the job of which is the main objective of all the mystics in the world, that you basically rise above all that and you fall in love with the killer of the dog and the victim, the dog. You have to be equally love both of them. You may not agree, you may not repeat their actions, but you have to be in love with them. So then you have the right as an actor. If you are practicing that, of course you struggle, fail every day, but at least you have the larger picture. And then maybe that you would be able to evoke that in the audience, because audience gets evoked by what you feel. Because if I feel happy, audience smiling. If I feel sad, audience becomes sad, because we are extremely receptive human beings. Like, for example, this thing that we all hold in our hands, it is a creation which has come out of this brain. This instrument that you see in front of you, this is the creation. We are the master. We have created this. Imagine the capability of this instrument. You understand what I'm saying? If I can create this, That means what this instrument is capable of. So this is so sensitive, it can receive video signals from across the globe. So how sensitive, that's why you go to see a movie, you go to see a play, because you get enchanted by the magical experience. You become one with the roles. You become empathetic with the roles, with the film, with the story, with the characters, with the roles. So, if I do not come from a larger space, then I'm basically creating junk food. If I come from a wider, larger, non-judgmental space, then which you are unknowingly, your inner, deepest, most desire to grow as a human being, to become a larger person, because that is the nature of the universe. The universe is constantly expanding. You know, if you have read a little bit of Stephen Hawking or Roger Penrose, you would know the universe is constantly expanding. So, and we are part of the universe. We are the universe. And if we do not expand with it, we become what we have become today. We're killing each other. And then we are sitting here in the capital city of Tibetan government in exile. His Holiness is talking about that constantly, that being humanity is, is one family. So if we practice that constantly and efficiently, then there's a possibility that I may be able to quench your thirst. But at least we can struggle, we can fail. But the struggle must be on as an actor, as a filmmaker, according to my point of view, since you have asked me. I hope I have answered your question. A man with the sunglass there. Yeah.
Two quick clarifications and then one question. You talked about three types of actors, personality, character, and demonstrative. Yes. I couldn't get the third one. Okay. This is one. And second, you beautifully clarified the difference between character and patra. Could you spend a few minutes distinguishing actor and abhineta as well? Right. And the third thing is, when you prepare for a film like Mukti Bhavan or prepare a film like Ayari, I mean, what difference do you think does it make? Yeah, thank you.
He's trying to grill me here. Patra and actor and abhineta. Abhineta, the word, according to my teacher who said, my aesthetics teacher, Niva Joshi ma'am, who was a great exponent on Indian beauty, the study of beauty, which is the study. So she said that abhineta means the one who transports, the one who elevates, the one who uplifts. And actor means the one who does an action, which is good enough, But one who transports becomes a little more, what do you call that? A little more flattering. But I think it's also a very responsible word, that so that the actors do not get to claim that they transport unless they really can. Preparation, did that answer the question? Yeah. Demonstrative. So three kinds of actors, as I said, personality and character. Demonstrative actors are those who do mime actors, like pantomime, which is Kathakali actors. They do also demonstrative. So they would say, this is what I have done, and I have come here to you, and I am angry. So it's demonstrating. But there is doing the same actions. One actor would become a good Kathakali actor, and there is another bad Kathakali actor. So why that difference happened? Doing the same actions, precisely the same actions. So a good Kathakali actor, when these actions which he is repeating, which had been taught by his guru, and his guru was taught by his guru from time immemorial, that the good actor will rediscover the meaning of those actions now. He's not simply repeating, but he's recreating. So a good Kathakali actor and a bad Kathakali actor. I was taught by Krishna Kumar, and there was this guy, amazing Kathakali actor called Mr. Gopi, whose performances were amazing. And the last question that you asked me about preparation for Ayari and Mukti Bhavan, I don't think there is a difference, because as I just let me. There is a difference because, as I said, that the lecture that I'm giving here, I have to walk my talk. Otherwise, nobody is going to give me, or my credibility will be lost. And forget about amongst people, but in my own eyes, I'll not be able to sleep, and which I sleep without any alcohol or any sleeping pills. I sleep in 15 minutes time as soon as I go to bed, and doesn't matter what time of the night I go. So that is my success. And I think success, for me, definition of success is that how soon you fall asleep without any worries. Um, so as I say that unless I practice being fitting into the patra of an actor who acts in commercial Bollywood films and who also fits into the patra of an actor who does films like Mukti Bhavan. So I don't think there is a dichotomy there. There is a conflict of interest there, because I just play the role of a person who plays the role of a Bollywood actor. When I do 2.0 or Force 2 and Robo 2 and Commando 2 and all that. And that I'm grateful that they cast me in those roles, that I get to subsidize my family and my involvement in films like Mukti Bhavan, or recently I did a film called Lorni, the Flaneur, which is almost a no budget film. Shubhashish is to say Mukti Bhavan as the love budget film, because it's out of love that we all did it. And Lorni was that Kasi film, which is about to be premiered in Europe's one of the most avant-garde film festival called Black Nights in Tallinn in competition. So I just play a role. That's it. And playing a role for me is as true, or maybe truer than life. Because in life, I can think of something else. I can say good morning to someone. So good morning, sir. Well, how are you doing? I don't even mean. I'm basically say, what are you doing? I'm not interested to talk to you. No? That's what I mean. Good morning. Or some people say, good morning. Why the hell are you here? I mean, it's not good. It's not even morning. So it's a you have to find a way to make sense of the word that you speak. Anyways, anybody else? Oh God, together so many hands. Shall I start from the back because I might miss? Yes, man with the hat, please. Thank you. Louder so that everybody can hear you, because this will not reach you there.
So being a first-time director, I have to work with non-actors as of now
Right,
because of budget constraints and whatever reason. And getting them to act, there are people focus on how to get them into the character, the actors,
right.
but they often miss out the part of how to get them back to being normal.
Oh God, good question. Yeah.
Because I've experienced this
Yes, yes. No, that is a very important question. So he asked that uh, non-actors, but even for actors is difficult. So he said that for a first-time director, when you cast non-actors, means that you have picked up people who looks or similar to the role that they are about to play. How you can get them into the role, but how do you help them to get out of the role? This is a very serious work, and as I said, that it really gave me nightmares, and I had suffered a lot from that myself. I remember my director, my classmate. He was my classmate as well at the National School of Drama. I did Othello, the role of Othello, in Othello for 10 years. And initially, when I was preparing for the role, and the director, he is Royston Abel, and he's now a celebrity director across the globe. He performs. So he used to knock at the room, on the door of the room that I lived, which he gave me shelter because I had no money. And he used to knock loudly on the door and he said, Adil, stop it. Don't say your lines. Wake up. Not wake up. Open the door. I said, I was sleeping. Actually, I was speaking my lines in my sleep. It's the okay, I don't know where to even start because there's so many aspects to it. One of the examples which is coming to my mind is that there was this girl I would not name, and we acted in a film which is artistically I did not agree with the film, and I did it for the simple reason because I did not agree, because I wanted to cross that boundary also. And it's on. I'll not talk about the name because I don't want to advertise that film, but people have seen, people have come today or yesterday. Oh, I loved you in that film, so I don't want to disappoint that also. Um, so she was so devastated after playing that role, and she's a graduate of Actors Studio, the famous Actors Studio in New York. And then she went to my friend, dear friend, mentor, and that mentor of mine sent her to me, saying, "Go and work with Adil on Shakespeare." And I had no idea why he asked me to, work with her on Shakespeare. So she came and stayed in our house for 3 months in our guest room. And I was working, I realized, oh my God, she was almost damaged because she played a role which is like, I don't wish any actor has to play that role unless it is done in an artistic way. And then she told me while I was working with her on the text of Shakespeare, and she said, "My God, you actually took me first into a safe space, which is a space within, and one has to find a roadmap in order to reach that space like in one breath." And you were there. You understand what I'm saying? It's like it's a bungee jumping, and you have the anchor, and so tightly wrapped around you that you can jump into the depth of, as I said, the lower depths of humanity, and then you have to come back, and you must know the roadmap. So quite often in method acting schools, they take you, the directors, the teachers lure you or force you to go into that space, and then they have no clue that they can be stained, smeared by those emotions. And emotions are very dangerous things. People go crazy. Actually, they go crazy. And so to find and to, I have read all these autobiographies of great actors who had terrible personal life. And there's an amazing story. I don't know how many of you heard of Marcel Marceau. Anybody? That's a pity. Marcel Marceau was the godfather or god of mime acting. He was French, and we had been taught his work at the National Club Drama. And I was in Pondicherry, and I met this amazingly handsome man, 20 years old. I was then 34, 35. And I saw him and I sort of liked him. I'm very straight, so there was no physical attraction, but there was something within his personality that I really thought intriguing. So I went up to him and I said, "What are you doing here?" He says, "I'm here from France, and I am looking for, spirituality." And I was like, "Wow." And sorry, I know somebody is laughing at me as well. You see, that French accent didn't work. Sorry, I'm just trying to be a little entertaining because I'm talking about serious things. Forgive me for that. Um, and I will not attempt again. So, and I asked him that, so he asked me that, "What are you doing?" I said, I'm in love with acting, and I'm learning acting from this teacher. So he asked me, "Is there anybody in your family who is an actor?" I said, "No, my grandfather, my mother's father, was a mystique who walked from Iraq to Assam in 1875. Then he says, "Very strange, because my grandfather is a very famous actor in France, and I want to be a mystic, and your grandfather was a mystic, and you want to be an actor." I'm like, "Yeah, it's very strange." And I asked him, "Who is your grandfather?" He said, "Marcel Marceau." I was like, "What? You're Marcel Marceau's grandson. What are you doing here?" you know? And then he says, "Because of him, I'm here." I'm like, "Why?" That me and my mother are here? Because he was so drunk and he was so not, civil, that they both of them have to pick Marcel Marceau up from the streets and put him on beds. So they got pissed with him and they left France and they came to India to look for, which is amazing story. Then I met him after 10 years. He has already become the personal physician of his guru, and I went to perform Othello after 10 years, meeting him. And we met again. I'm like, hey, you have, yeah. He said, I have gotten some answers. I said, I also have gotten some answers. So, and that story, when he told me, it's a first hand story. It is not a book that I read. He told me personally that Marcel Marceau, who we admire. And for some reason, this great, amazing, creative people did not find some certain balance in their life, and they had terrible time, personal life. So that drove the hell out of me. They drove me mad. And I was looking for answers. That how is it possible for me to balance this? Because I have faced it myself while playing Mephistopheles. There's a character in a play called Christopher Marlowe's play called Dr. Faust, and I was cast as the evil incarnate, and I was scared. I was very scared. I asked my teacher that how would I play? I'm not that bad, I am, but because no, you're opposite. You're a nursing guy. You nurse people. You help people, and blah blah blah. I would like you to explore your dark side. I was like, but how do I do it? Tell me, you can't just tell me. I would like you to explore, but how exactly should I do? You're my teacher. He said, okay, I'll give you one clue and don't ask me any question after that. He said, from today, you start enjoying cruel things. I was like, wow. And something happened that night. I'm not going to go into the details, though I have spoken publicly about it, but now is not the time. And something happened that night, and I would have been very, very angry towards the person who has said something towards another very close person, friend of mine. But I did the opposite. I said, yes, you motherfucker. Right. So, and that play we were doing based on Purulia Chow dance form. So I went out in the middle of the night and I started dancing from 10 o'clock till 2 or 3 in the morning. And the entire dance, which was a specific movement that you have to do, but this particular attitude and the spirit that it possessed me changed the dance form. Next morning I come to the rehearsal space and my teacher says, hey, yesterday, kal jo humne kiya tha na? Yesterday what we rehearsed last night, please do, let's create that space for. I was like, what? I didn't know that he saw me doing it. And then cut to, I go home back to see my parents after almost I'm seeing my parents after a year. And then I see my father, who walked up to the street. I got down from the cycle rickshaw, and this man, who was around 87, 88 then, he came out, he was a bit bent, and he looked at my eyes, and he was almost he was sobbing, like he didn't see me for almost a year. And instead of responding, I was like observing. Oh, this old man, okay, this is how his eyes become. Okay, he's like this and he's like that. And suddenly I stopped on the track and I was like, am I deteriorating as a human being in order to be a better actor? That question. So I suffered that. So now, Kudiyattam actors, coming back to your question, Kudiyattam actors, when they come to the stage, first thing they say, I am a happy man and I am going to play the role of an evil man. So you must find, and how to find, there are many ways. That space within where you are secure, absolutely secure, not only secure, you are ready to jump anywhere. You can fly up, fly down, backflip. That space have to be found. And once you go, if you have to go, as I said, to the lower depths of humanity, the pits. So when you come back, you not only come out unsmeared and unstained, you come out cleansed. which you generally have within, that you start slowly becoming a lighter person. Then only you can quench the thirst of the other. Anybody? Too many hands went up, so I'll take one from this side. And, ma'am, yes, what's the time? Okay, I have some time. Ha.
So, like, now we are living in an era of Me Too times of, era. So,
Me too.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Be
after,
careful, huh? There are a lot of.
no, no, yeah. So, after that, how, the approach, of, like, you're a man and, like, we are at a privilege.
Yeah.
So, how, your approach has changed, or, like, of the whole, film crew have, like, the whole you know, development, like the film development has changed towards, being, sensitive around the issue. And like, I have a second question. Like,
That wasn't the question in the first place. So you.
like, I mean, so how, like, you are an actor, so like, how has the, the your, setting changed, into being, more inclusive, and like, where are people, they understand that, nobody feels uncomfortable. And the second question is like, congratulations for being casted in Star Trek. And uh, so, how, working in a series is different, and watch is like how the approach is different from working in a film.
I'm not sure if I've understood your first part of the first part of the question, but I guess you want to ask that when things have become so sensitive, especially our relationship, male relationship and male gaze and perspective towards women in a close films. The world of the filmmaking. Are you talking about that? And I think for me nothing has changed because if you are a person who is sensitive, who is who has gone through the grind of thrashing oneself and worked hard on the idea of equality in every sense, not only gender, but in everything, like a tree, they have the equal right to survive or a smaller life. But being born in a patriarchal society, that the males, like the character that I play in English, he, I refuse to play that as a villain, like as if he's a villain, but I played him like he's an ignorant, innocent guy. He doesn't know that he's an, yeah, I don't want to say that word. Yeah, he's a thing. Um, so, and I played it because my brothers are like that. My father had been like that. Most of my friends are like that. And so they are not villains. They are simply that they haven't had the opportunity or neither took the opportunity. So they have certain responsibility of being the way they are, but also the society that they grew up, and the mothers are even patriarchs. You know what I mean? Quite a lot of women that I know, they actually have imbibed the software of the patriarchy software. Though hardware-wise they are women, but they believe that men has the say. तू तो चुप रहे तुझे मालूम पिताजी बोल रहे ये कर ले तू. So we believe in that. It's a long process. I mean, for me to come out from that kind of family, in order to get out of misogyny and patriarchy, I had a tough time. I cried, I howled. There was one woman in my life who pushed all the buttons of patriarchy within me. I didn't know that what's going on. I was mad. I was screaming at the top of my voice. How dare you say that? But then I realized what she is saying is right. Why am I so angry? So the software, the conditioning is so deep that how dare a woman can talk to me like that? That's very deep conditioning. Every male in the world, especially in India, must work so hard in order to get out of even tiny bit of patriarchy. It's a lot of hard work, really. I know how hard it is because my constant work, knowingly and conscious work, still I sometimes I'm like, I keep like, for example, I missed here also, if you have noticed, I said our son. Why would I say my son? Most of the work she did it. I had a tiny bit of contribution, pleasurable one. She took the trouble, all the trouble and the pain that she had gone through, which constitutes almost like how many breaking bones, if you put together. She did the whole work, and I'm calling it my son. How dare I do that? You see? So, but the habit is there, no, my son. No, he's not my son. He's our son, and rather her son. But if I say that, then she says, no, he's your son also. I take the responsibility of the qualities that he had imbibed from me. But when I say your son, I mean that you have created him, which is beautiful, amazing. And then the surname that is when he was born. So I'm like, that question came, that what could be the surname? Because my wife's name is Kristen Jain. Kristen's mother is Greek, Cyprian, German. Father is Jain. I'm born in a Muslim family in Assam. So what should be our son's surname? So she said, why not Hussain? I said, why should be Hussain? It's a lovely word. I mean, I have nothing to do with the Arab world, and I don't understand why my name is in Arabic. I don't understand a word, maybe one or two words. So I speak, my mother tongue is 70% Sanskrit, and I have no idea why my name is Arabic for that matter. Anyways, I know why, but I don't agree with it. So I said, Hussain is a good, it means the best, but it's also arrogant, Adil Hussain, Adil the best and all that. Adil means the one who knows the law of nature, which I'm trying to live up to my name, actually. So we concocted a surname. So his name is Kabir Om Angan, Om ka Angan. So it is neither hers nor mine. He is a tribe. And if he wants to refuse that surname, when he's allowed to do it, he can go to the court and, refuse the surname. So it has to be a conscious practice. Everything must be questioned, and especially by the male. And the women of the society must realize also the why men are the way they are. To some extent, I have understood that. Or look at the body that we have. It's so simplistic. We don't have womb, we don't have ovaries, we don't have uterus, we don't have breasts. When Kabir was born, I said I at least should have one, so that I can experience that warmth, that tenderness, the love, that you are experiencing. I'm jealous of you. Nature hasn't made us like that for unforeseen, unknown reason. But you have. So men are very simplistic. They think from here or from, somewhere else. And unfortunately, they do. So it's a lot of hard work to raise yourself from your sexuality, from predatory sexuality, and from the fright and the flight, both, towards your larger space within. It's a long journey. It's very short looking here, but it's a long journey. Very hard one, very difficult, painful one. So it's a lot of hard work you have to do. I hope I have answered your question. Okay. हाँ, क्या था आपका दूसरा बोला? Star Trek. Yeah. So when you go to, people to work with people like that, they're like the only difference that I feel, there is no difference of creativity, or that we are less talented or less creative. No, we are not. We're just less efficient. चल जाएगा, छोड़ देते हैं, हो जाएगा. I think that comes also from the fact that we inherently, unknowingly believe that अगले life में देख लेंगे यार, इस life में तो कुछ हुआ नहीं है. That has the downside of that is that we produce mediocrity in every sense. And also upside is that it's not the end of the world. It's just a film, yaar. छोड़ दो, ठीक है. We don't die for it. And the upside of the Western approach, especially those people, that they make sure that whatever they have visualized, they go out of the way to make it happen. Like, No, this is what we want. My costume took 8 days constant trial. 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter. Next day I come, then the tailor comes, the costume designer comes and looks. I think this could be better if you do this way, like 1 millimeter here. I'm like, oh God, okay. And I'm standing there for like 1 hour. A deal. I become a deal there, a bad deal or a good deal, a deal. So, and every inch, not inch, millimeter is looked after. So to that detail they go, and all the HODs, the head of the departments of each and every of the project, they are like they're masters, and it's such a pleasure and joyous experience that I had, including the director. So the first day when I arrived for the shoot after the 8 days of grueling costume trial, I entered and I saw these people, everybody is standing in a circle, including all the HODs and the actors and everybody. And then the director says, here's Adil from India, and we welcome him in Star Trek family. So everybody looked at me. So I was like, oh, I have to speak? Okay. I said, and I wanted it to be short. So I said, this is the only thing which came to my mind. I said, well, I was born in a town where newspapers, as I told you, used to come 3 days after it was published. And here I am today in Star Trek trying to cross the galaxies. It's quite a journey. Thank you for having me in your family. So, and then something happened which is amazing, which I don't think it will ever happen in India, with an actor who is nobody. Like, I'm nobody there, They might have just heard, oh, this guy was in Life for Pi. Okay, that was it, That was like 10 years ago or 7 years ago. So the lead actor who I have all the scenes with, Sonequa Martin Green, she was standing across the circle, and she came to the center and said, her arms came like this and said, Adil, can I give you a hug? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I went and she hugged me tight and she whispers into my ears and says, I'm so happy and so looking forward to working with you, Adil. We have beautiful scene and we'll do it. I said, yeah. So what I was saying, that boundary just broke. And we were just two human beings on equal terms, two creative people. And we had such a great time. It's intense scene and it is extremely emotional, those scenes were. And she performed better when she was behind the camera giving me the cues. This can never happen in India. You understand what I'm saying? If there's an established star and if Adil is nobody, now I'm a little bit of somebody, that the person would come and give you a hug and say, I'm looking forward to it. The person will, if someone introduces me to someone of that stature, say, hi Adil, okay, see you later, at the most. So that's the difference I found, that there is a sense of equality, and if you are efficient, you're respected equally. There's no feudal residues in their behavior in this particular unit that I worked with. Thank you. Sir, your question. Sorry, somebody else, you were there, no? After.
I'm Bawa from California, and oh my goodness, it's good to know more about Adil ji from last few days, and thank you very much for being here. And my question is, how good actor like you, and also you mentioned few actor, Bollywood actor like Anupam, Naziruddin Shah, Nawaz, there's a few other which I know, and how you handle in front of the camera through your theater acting and the screen acting, between those two things you are doing theater also as, so how you handling that easily?
I don't think it's that easy, but and must say that if anybody wants to leave, I will absolutely not take it. I'll not take it to my heart, because you might have to go to the toilet and all that, and please feel free to leave at any time, and I'm absolutely fine with that. Theater acting and film act. So I first started my acting thing on the stage, but I did a lot of films in Assam before I joined National School of Drama. I've done telefilms, video films, teleseries, 4 feature films, and then I came to learn acting at the National School of Drama. And then when I started studying there, I fell in love with theatre, and I realized that the engagement and the intensity and the demands of theatre from an actor is 1 billion times more than any film that so far I have done. And so the difference, I take it that way, your question. The difference I found that in theatre, when you are on the stage, you have to sort of constantly reach out. You are expressing yourself towards the last person who is there, and you have to have the ability, the skill in order to embody physically, and it's large enough for the last person who is sitting there to see the nuances as well, even if you are not speaking. So if I am sad, and it's good enough just to feel sad in a film, like whatever, but maybe on the stage I have to do with the body, so I started enjoying film acting because I don't have to do much. I have to just feel it intensely, and the camera comes to you. So it's almost like someone is sitting on your lap and looking at you like this, and I don't have to do like, hi. It is hey, how are you? Good. You see, because this particular proximity is only invaded by 3 or 4 people in your life. That's maybe your mother when you're a kid, maybe 1 or 2 friends, your girlfriend, your lover, your dentist, your beautician, that comes that close, painfully close sometimes, like, and all that. Otherwise, only camera transgresses that particular proximity. And so it's almost like, that's why film actors are also, they people find affection for them, because they think they know this actor, this guy, who sees everything, my wrinkles, the dental structure, the crease, everything, every portion of that person is blown like 500 times more, and you do not. It's only the lovers can see that close. So that's why people fall in love with film actors and not theater actors. They're far away. That's the advantage of being a film actor, that they feel close. Arey, aapko kahin dekha hai? But like, I'm in a situation now, quite a lot of people, they don't know my name. Sir, aap KK Menon. So, so I say, नहीं KK Menon मैं उनके जैसा थोड़ा दिखता हूँ, लेकिन मैं अलग हूँ. कौन है आपका नाम बताइए ना. नहीं आप ढूंढ लीजिए ना, गूगल करिए. Sometimes I say my name is Adil, when I'm not in a naughty mood. So and Nasiruddin Shah told me a story. He gets mad. He's quite a, he's short-tempered quite often. He was my dear teacher, so I know him a little bit. So he said once someone came, Ompuri, नहीं Ompuri यार, Ompuri मैं नहीं, भाग जा यहाँ से. He got so pissed. So film actors are loved. And the reason is also, I think this is one of the reasons. I have not, a sociologist may be able to tell you better, but for me, like, I know Bachchan as if I know him, like he is my brother, he is my older brother, he is my father. It feels like that. Because you see him or see other actors so closely. And that proximity, as I said, that nobody can break that proximity apart from very few people in my world, or in your world for that matter. And so camera comes that close, so you don't need to project. You have to just feel. So the one of the most important thing I have learned while acting in films is that how to internalize my emotions, my feelings, which is created by the given circumstances, written by directors, and how to contain it, not to show. Like, feeling sad, you don't need to cry. You can, if the director says, please, I want some tears, and there are directors that, थोड़ा और रो पड़ो यार, मजा आ जाएगा. ऐसे directors भी हैं. You know what I mean? But there are directors who will say, no, the intensity that you feel is more than enough, and don't even shed it one drop of tear. You feel within that it's more than that, and contain the face. Don't show it on your face even. And that's what I have learned as good acting, and I've seen the amazing actors that you are more you contain, more intrigued are the audience. They become so intrigued, like what's going on inside, because you're creating ambiguity, and ambiguity is one of the most important elements in acting and art. I hope I have answered the question. This oh, I don't know what to say. Lady, woman, girl.
Aparna. So it's not related to acting or directing. It's about another important vehicle, and that is a story. They're different shades, like teleseries is different, net series is different, and movie stage it's different. So something about that, and what is different between story and how can it be scripted, like something.
I think the efficient answer can come from a director than an actor, and there are at least few directors that I see sitting here. Sudhanshu, there is Pravjit sitting at the back. There is Shubhashish. But since you have asked me, and I'm not supposed to know everything in life. Sorry, what did you ask? Loudly? Story? Oh, I don't know. Have I understood? No, actually, you say it again so that I don't waste your time. Or
So it's like for you as an actor, what would be a good story as which should be reflective and also connecting to the audience on most of the deeper levels also.
okay. I think I got the gist of your question. Um, Good story for me would be something that the aftertaste, after you watch it, aftertaste lingers for a longer time. Like the difference between Kentucky chicken fry and your mom's lovely chicken if you are a non-vegetarian. And so that means it has the intent, it has been written with an intent not to prove that, look how good I am as a director or a writer, but something which has deeply touched the person who has written it and who has the courage to speak about it, absolutely in a non-judgmental way, that you almost empathize with all the characters, that you understand why the person is doing what he is doing, why he is doing what he is doing, and who also has the time and sincerity and honesty in order to go and see the place or wherever, whatever, and has done immense research on it, and created, woven, and knows the craft of storytelling as well. Otherwise, I may have a fantastic story, but I don't know. Like I have told so many stories, but I don't dare to venture into become a filmmaker because I don't know how to tell a story. Maybe I would need help. So all these, and especially if it can reflect, and if it can also, for me personally, I believe that if it can somehow help the people, those who are watching it, to look at life what it could be rather than what it is. Also what it is, but what it possibly could be, which is of with the qualities of higher human qualities, which we aspire to, knowingly or unknowingly. Some people are nihilists. Some people are extremely. What is the opposite word? I don't even want to remember that, of optimism. Pessimists. There are people like that, and I see, as I said, that most of the OTT platforms are filled with the lower depths of humanity, and it sells well because it can tickle you easily, it can rattle you easily, and it sells very well. So we treat those things as products. Unfortunately, that's the time that everything has become. We live in a market society. So places like this, DIFF and other beautiful, what do you call that, festivals, which gives me hope that, okay, we are trying to also little fly and keeping the route going deeper and fly a little bit more. Yenny, I know her personally, so I have to do that favor. Is that okay? Okay. And she generally never asks me questions when I meet her. So.
Hi, Adil. I just, since we are all talking about acting as the main important thing, you mentioned that for a good actor, it's important to respond rather than react. And we didn't really get into the stages of responding. So can you elaborate a bit on that? Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Uh, uh, so the a little more elaboration on response and react. Reaction comes from, according to my experiments, I had been on a river island in northern Karnataka for 3.5 years, experimented on the instrument from 6 in the morning till 11 at night, 6 days a week, with some crazy bunch of people from across the globe. And what we found is that reaction is from a very small, lesser, and conditioned reality of the person. And like, for example, if some people go mad when they're hungry, they can be very angry. I'm sure people have experienced it. Like they're irritated, they're frustrated, and the blah, 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 blah. But that's conditioning, that's not the ultimate truth. Because I know I used to be like that. And then I realized, oh my God, hunger, how can hunger be conditioned? Hunger is actual, real, which is true. But if you react to it, you become, I'm hungry, khana do na, kya kar rahe ho tum? Give me my food. But if you look at hunger, so you just rise a little above it. How do you do that? There are a lot of techniques. And you breathe in, just giving you one example, you breathe in and you become an observer of the hunger. Like, okay, I'm feeling hungry. I should not change my name from I am Adil to I am hungry. I should not become hungry. So your entire identity changes, no? You say, what's your name? I'm Adil. What's your name? I'm hungry. So, you know what I mean? So, just to step back a little bit and see the hunger or any other reaction for that matter. Some people are very angry or scared of chipkili or snakes or reptiles or cockroaches or so many different kinds. I mean, I used to be scared of ghosts. I remember I was like, there was one particular area of our hometown. If I come back from the night show, watching a movie, and there's this elephant apple tree, and I'd be like, oh my God, you run. So and it's crazy, and there's no reason for it. So we have unknown reasons for our behavior. So when you work on the instrument, that means if I'm a pianist, I need to understand how to tune the piano. It has got thousands of strings. Guitar has 6 strings. Human beings have billions of strings. Literally, billions of strings. So if I'm an actor, if I call myself that I want to act, so I better have certain understanding of this instrument that I'm playing. So I started reading neuroscience. I started reading how things affect you. So who would tell you that if 75 to 95% of our body is water, and women go mad when the sun is, moon is full and you're menstruating, so if the seas oceans can have high tide and low tide because of the moon, imagine what happens to our body, we don't know. So I started reading all that, practicing, looking at myself, how I feel when the moon is full moon. And especially we had around 6 women with us in the group from France, Denmark, Austria, New Zealand, and America. And they started menstruating together. So I used to stay away from them when they are menstruating. I'm like, oh my God, they can become very dangerous. They told me also, don't come near us. I was like, yeah, I will stay away from you guys. So, and then my relationship with women since I was an adult, I saw that menstruation time is a time where there is a instant and it's unrecognizable sometimes. Some women had extreme reactions. So then I started reading about menstruation in shamanistic understanding. I'm like, okay, they say that they might even kill you, so don't even blame them. That's what they feel. So I'm like, okay, this is the ultimate. They won't kill me at least. They might slap me or abuse me, but they won't kill me. So I started reading more about it, and then they, so I found few techniques to help them to elevate. And when I say elevate, I'm to just to step back and look at the reactive spaces within, and then slowly say, oh, okay, now it's okay, like I don't have to behave like that, though I feel like behaving like that, though I feel like punching that bugger, I don't have to. So what are the techniques in order to not to behave like that? Then I started reading the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. I'm not talking about Patanjali, I'm talking about, Patanjali, the master. Then I started reading about the yogic processes, then Sri Aurobindo, Sri Ramakrishna Mahaprabhu, then Swami Rama, and all this. No Western book could help me, by the way. All that great psychologist and psychiatry never helped me. And then I started practicing myself. Unless I practice, I would not know. And that's one of my most important work in life, because I am supposed to know little bit of this. If not, then I don't want to know the engineering of a spacecraft if I can fly it. So at least I want to fly this, so I want to know how to fly. I don't have to understand the entire mechanism. That much is enough for me so that I can act and I can sleep well at night. And so reactive space is a space which is a lesser space within. I call it smaller being. You are way larger than that. Patanjali says in a beautiful way, he gives a wonderful metaphor saying that when I first went to the ocean, I don't know how many of you remember the first experience of ocean. I saw it in Puri, and I turned around. I took a turn, and there is the ocean, like which is like higher than you. The ocean looks like, I don't know how many of you have seen the kind of places that you have seen. So where I was standing, the ocean is higher than you, and the roar of it. So I was mesmerized by the waves. So Patanjali says that your conditioned being or the emotional faculties within you is only that much. If you take a helicopter and go high up on the seashore and the waves are crashing only like maybe 30 feet, that's the amount, that's the what do you call that, ratio, that is your emotional reality. Rest of the ocean is you. The vastness and the depth, we don't even think about the depth of the ocean when we stand in front of the ocean. So then I'm like, okay, that's what he's saying, but how can I make it a physical experience for myself? So I started looking for techniques. And I found and I practiced and realized, oh my God, nothing matters when I am in that huge space within. So when I act from there, I'm not acting, I'm not reacting, I'm responding, because that is from a larger space. Even if I'm saying the same words, shut up, shut up. You don't have to say, I want you to shut up, but I can also say, hey, shut up. I can say, I hate you. I can also, I hate you so much. My God. you know. Or I can say, oh my God, I love you. And I can say, I love you. I love you so much. You motherfucker. Get out. So words, where do you operate from? What is the space within that you operate from? That makes the difference between reactive and responsive. I hope I have answered your question. So, gender equality. So.
Tashdele. My question is maybe it's very nonsense, but uh, I just want to know that how important rasa is in acting or in the point of view of aesthetic in the acting. Thank you.
It's not stupid at all. I mean, I don't think there is anything called stupid question. All questions are important. I used to believe that I have a stupid question, and that turned out to be the most. Like I used to ask, why am I born on the 5th of October and not on the 6th or 4th? So I asked that question to someone, and he's like, that's such a stupid question. So most probably. But then I kept on asking, and then someone handed me over The Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. I'm like, oh, time is relative. Okay. So how does it matter? And then I started reading The Problem of Rebirth by Sri Aurobindo. I was like, oh, that answers the question. So no question is stupid. Rasa is created amongst you when I go through the bhava. Now, Natya Shastra has divided, we have 8 predominant bhava, and the 9th is neutrality, quietude, absolute calmness, and it's almost like fortified stability, like there is no movement at all. That is called Shanta. So bhava, you, like Rodra, Karuna, Veera, Shringara, and others, Bibhatsa and Bhayanaka and Hasya. I think this is way more profound, the way Natya Shastra looks at it. So suppose I take Karuna, sadness, which is, by the way, Natya Shastra was written according to the Indian scholars, 2700 BC. A book was written on the treatise of acting. So that's where we live in India, We have the best, as we keep saying. Sometimes a bit falsely, but... So, rasa is the consequence of the bhava. So if I go through, it's called sthai bhava, predominant emotion, sthai bhava, and in one sthai bhava there could be thousands of shades, karuna of thousands, hasya like hey, go ahead. Yeah? So all kinds of, like, you can just go on and laugh and laugh. From tiny bit of sadness like, oh, he didn't come, eh? Okay. He didn't come. He didn't come. He didn't come. Well, he didn't come. Okay, so you can just go on. He didn't come, you can cry, he didn't come, and all that. You can go on, So those are sancharis. And if one sort of practices enough to go from one bhava to the other, to the other, to the other, at the drop of a hat, and it's related to how you breathe. That's what we found, as I said, when I was on the river island for 3.5 years. We used to stay in one emotion for a week. From the slightest, like the most, the least intense to the highest intensity that we used to practice. So it became funny because we realized, oh my God, our crying and our laughter and our feeling of love is just, you can just do it at the drop of a hat. So if Ang Lee says action and if I can laugh, why can't I say action to myself when I'm in misery and I should laugh? No? Adil? Action. I should be able to laugh. Because I am capable to laugh. I'm waiting for someone else which is outside of me, and I'm empowering that thing or a person or a sight or a story or a trigger, we call it stimuli, to make me laugh. Why can't I? Because the mechanism is happening within. So to learn how to use this amazing instrument and laugh or cry, or you can manipulate also, which you are not supposed to do. and become and empower yourself. So misery, to the point that I don't have any right to talk about depression because I had faced once, but it is a very difficult place. I know that it is an amazingly difficult place for people, those who have gone there. But the education system in India, I think, should adopt this amazing knowledge that Indian ancient uh, acting craft can gift, to teach emotional intelligence from the school. And it's amazing that how that emotions are so easily can be produced just at the drop of a hat. You're going to start crying, you're going to start laughing, you can be angry at the drop of a hat. Did I answer your question? Okay. Ma'am. Ma'am with the hat. I don't know how long we have, but it's already 3 o'clock.
Hi, I'm Nazrin, and my question for you is, as an actor, do you find validation important? If you receive feedback after your performance in a film which is not necessarily positive or constructive, how do you navigate it?
That's a good one, no? And should I be honest or should I just manipulate an answer? I'm just thinking about it. Well, Shakespeare, when I read Shakespeare, in a play, I forgot the name exactly, he says that 300 people, if they say, oh my God, Adil, you are so good, don't believe them. One person who knows about acting, the craft, if he says, take it seriously and work on it. So I have an acting teacher. I have an acting teacher who I completely trust, who lives in, who's an ashramite, who lives in Sri Aurobindo, Pondicherry. And he has got videographic memory. He remembers every portion of 3 hours performance. Your hand, you can't see me here, so I'm putting it here. Imagine my hand is dangling from my shoulder. So he notices my hand from here to here, like this much. Your right arm was tensed a little bit. Why? See, he's that precise, so I go to him. And I don't take praise or criticism absolutely not seriously. I go to him, show my film, and tell him that, ask him, please, tell me. Then he would say, in details, this is a problem. There your eyes were tensed. Your eyelids were like this. Why? You can just relax your eyes so that you can contain in more within. So that's the language, technical language that we both understand. We have developed a language. So I had been signaled by the authority to stop it here, and because it's 3 o'clock. And thank you so much for coming here and giving me this opportunity to reconfirm and retell the stories that telling the stories makes me, it helps me to believe in them again, and it becomes very powerful, and that's why we, I guess, love fantastic stories. Thank you so much. Thank you.